Good evening. How are you guys doing tonight? It is very late, and I was listening to my audiobook, and then I turned it off, and I was listening to 76 Symphony Hall on Sirius. I've been listening to that a lot lately, and it's really nice. Like, I just drive around, and I just think about stuff, and I've been thinking a lot about book ideas lately. This one that I was listening to is Various American Hymns, Alleluia, an American Hymn. It's really pretty. It was like all vocals. And so yeah, I was just like, I don't know, I got like in a really spiritual space listening to it. It was weird. Oh my god, is my lip balm like frozen? I can't get it out of here. I left my fanny pack in my car all day today. It's kind of snowing really lightly right now too. I don't know, I'm like in a very spiritual mood tonight. I feel very like clear-headed and focused, which is good. And I struggle a lot with being very cluttered, which is why I keep lists about things. And so when I feel clear-headed and I'm like, you know, listen, I had my hat on, you guys. I had to take it off. It was itching my head. I don't know, when I'm very clear-headed and kind of like on point, it's like when I go to like a very kind of like spiritual but yet a creative place in my head. And it's interesting, I came up with this concept last night actually while I was laying in bed for a book. And I don't really want to say anything about it though. I come up with so many ideas. I'm not like off camera. I come up with so many ideas for books, and you know, like I could sit here and every vlog could be an idea for a book. I have a hard time committing to sticking to writing a book is my difficulty. But I've always been like that creatively, even like when I was a little kid, you know, like I'd start a painting and then I'd want to do a puppet show, and you know, then I wanted to like choreograph a dance, and I don't know if it's, you know, having like a distracted creative mind, or my, you know, being ADHD, or also I think it's being an only child, you know, and having to entertain yourself a lot when you're younger, because you know, I would just spend so much time alone when I was younger that, I mean, my mom kept me pretty entertained, but you know, I mean, I played a lot by myself, and so I would come up with like games, but it was usually like I can remember especially like being in a swimming pool, because like with my mom we would go to the pool in the summer and stuff, but then when my dad moved into his house he had a pool, so like in the summer there I would just swim, but by myself. And so I would come up with these games. My dad had this so where his pool is, he has these huge brick walls on either side, and I would like stand in the shallow end and I would like throw the ball, like a tennis ball, against the wall, and then I'd have to like hit it so many times. I'd come up with these games, and you know, of course, diving games like for pennies and things like that when I was a little kid. I love to be in the pool. I love to be in the water. It's like one of my favorite things. I think it's why I gravitate so much towards like, you know, the beach in warm areas. I always just feel very at peace, you know. I'm really excited about our trip that we're going on. You know, well, Miami I'm excited about because that'll be a lot of fun, and the music festival and stuff. But then, you know, Mexico after that, just to be able to like hear the waves on the beach at night when you sleep. We always, you know, leave the door open so we can like listen to waves, and I just love that so much. And like, you know, the curtains kind of blowing in the wind a little bit. I don't want to say too much about my book, but this is what I was thinking about tonight. That if I write this, it's about a guy that like something like physically happens to him, but it forces him to start looking at people and experiences in a way that he would normally not look at experiences in his life. And so, because of that, he starts noticing like small details about people or small details about experiences that we often like just, take for granted, or like I'm somebody that loves like little small things about people, like if you notice in the video that I did with Allie, my friend, if you go watch that video, she said something about the gap in her teeth, because I used to love the gap in her teeth, and like Alex has this freckle that I love. I know it's silly, but those are things that like I notice about people. Like I think like little differences about people, I think make us unique. And I like that, I like being able to, like, I think that we should embrace our differences and embrace those things that are different about us physically, and our personalities. There's only one of us, ever going to be on this planet. And I think we fight so hard to, like, it's interesting, like, with my voice, which I rather like my voice now, but it took me 40 plus years to get to that point. It really took me getting on YouTube, and I haven't even been on YouTube 3 years, so it took me 43 years to get to the point where I was, A, comfortable with my own voice, but B, where I actually liked my voice and appreciated it as part of who I am. What other people think about it really is none of my business, That's their issues, not mine. And I think a lot of us do that, where, I don't know, maybe some of you out there relate to this, but I think a lot of us do that, where those things about ourselves that we fight to change, or that we don't like, that we compare ourselves to other people, or we feel like people criticize about us, that we work so hard, but we call those insecurities instead of calling those characteristics about ourselves, that if we accepted them and we fell in love with those pieces of ourselves, how much different life would be, if we could just, I was thinking about my weight earlier, and I was talking to a friend of mine. We were talking about our weight, and it's like it really doesn't go real deep for me at this point. Like, yes, my health is a concern, but in getting like my checkups and stuff like that, my health is pretty good, and so I still want to lose weight. But, to some degree, it's really because I want to be able to fit in the clothes that I want to. It's very superficial. It's because I want to fit in the clothes that I want to fit into, because the clothes that I have in my closet, I can no longer fit into. It's really, like, if I really think about it and do some inventory on it, it really isn't that deep, and, like, I'm, weirdly enough, like, rather comfortable with my weight, like, I don't know that I think that's a good thing. It's only when, like, I'm on a beach and I have my shirt off and I realize I don't look like all the other guys that are out there, with like really nice bodies, that I start like beating myself up. Or, I'm on Instagram and I'm looking at the pictures and, I realize I don't look like that, obviously. And, I can't fit into the clothes that I want to fit into, or at least I can't fit into the clothes and look the way that I want to look, And so it's a lot about that. And, but I will say one thing that like really screws with my head is when I see like a guy that's a little bit chubbier, and I think he's like cute. I actually like the word chubby, so I don't look at that as an offensive word. But I see a guy and he's a little chubbier, and I'm like, he's a cute guy, you know, like, and like to me, like it's funny, you know, that I'll like, I don't know. Like I tend to find myself, and maybe it's because like I, you know, like am becoming more accepting of who I am in this body. I don't know, you know, like I don't know, maybe something's changed in me recently. But I do have my training appointment tomorrow, so I feel like my head is being cut off. Yeah, I have my training appointment tomorrow, so there's that. But like I enjoy that, you know, and I really need to make a commitment to like getting back and going to the gym regularly. And you know, it's interesting, I don't know if I said this on here, but like when I started going, Tanya said to me, she goes, it's so weird, like every other time in your life that you've gotten like a gym membership and you've been going, like you become like weirdly obsessed with like working out. And she's like this time, she's like, you're just not like beating it to the gym all the time. I'm not, you know, I don't know. You know, I think there's this misconception because I talk about my weight so much in my vlogs, but it's like there have been long periods of my life where I'm like in extremely good shape. Like I've probably been, if I added it all up, honestly, I've probably been in better shape more of my life than not. I do think it's a danger too, you know, when you get into a relationship where you're finally like happy and comfortable and the intimacy is good and, you know, like you're not, I don't know, I've been, you know, I mean, I've been at points in my life before where I didn't want to be naked with somebody else, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there's other people out there that relate to that, or because I was, you know, I felt overweight or whatever. And then I have to say that the times that I've been like really in shape, I didn't have that issue at all. So I do think that like that's a piece that kind of comes in there, but I don't really feel that way right now. I don't know. But I also think that's because like, you know, Alex and I are not the couple that like, if we're out to dinner and he says somebody's attractive, or if I say somebody's attractive, that we're threatened by that. Like, we're just not. And so like, what's interesting is that Alex finds very, like, the guy next door maybe has a little bit of a gut. He finds that very attractive. And so he equally finds guys that have six packs and work out very attractive. So, you know, like, I think maybe I'm like, I don't know, like, I don't worry about it, you know? How did I start talking about this music I was listening to, and then a book, and then now we're on this? But I think I'm also at, you know, 46 going on 47, I think I've realized that, like, as much as I would like to be in the best body I've ever been in my entire life, I also don't want to be consumed by that, you know? Oh, the camera fell when I was turning. Okay, but what was I saying? Oh, so anyway, we went to a movie last night, you know, and like, as much fun as it was, like, having popcorn and eating candy and stuff like that at the movies is part of the fun for me, you know, like, I enjoy that. And there's been long periods of time when I was on, like, strict diets, and we would, like, you know, go to the movie or whatever, and, I would just get a bottle of water. So, I mean, I can do it, but I enjoy doing that stuff too. And, you know, I think it's all for me and like finding some moderation with all of it, which I'm not good at. I mean, as an addict, I'm just not, you know. You know, I think the thing is when you get to the point where Like for me, with my weight, I know that if I did what I was supposed to do, and I was constantly doing inventory on my food addiction, and, you know, I was constantly, you know, taking steps towards that, and, which I do, I talk about in my therapy sessions, you know, and with my sponsor, but if I did that, you know, more regularly, and I was in the gym 5 days a week, and I was eating this strict healthy diet, I know I would lose the weight. I know that, right? There's nothing anybody can say to me about my weight that I don't know. There's no picture somebody can show me that I don't look at myself the same way and already see. In fact, you know, I probably see myself worse than other people do at times. But then there's other times that I kind of like, I look at those pictures, or I stand there in the mirror and I'm like, you know what, this is the body that I've been given. And like, I don't want to hate my body anymore. Like, I just don't. Like, you know, and, you know, it was interesting because, like, on the video that I did with Loie, we were talking about body positivity, and I said something to the effect on there, like, I would like to be able to say that I was body positive all the time, but I'm not, you know, like, I'm just not. But it kind of comes and goes in waves. Like, today, I'm really okay with it. And I'm actually excited to go see my trainer tomorrow and, you know, kind of, like, get in gear to do this thing. And weirdly enough, as unhealthy as I eat at times, I actually think, with all of the horrible eating habits I've had in the past and the ways that I've looked at my body, and, you know, I've put myself through, you know, periods of having eating issues and eating disorders and things, you know, that right now, I actually think I'm probably the healthiest I've ever been with my body appreciation is actually the word that I would say, you know, that I appreciate my body today. I appreciate what it allows me to do. You know, one of the things I pray on every night is that I'm grateful for my health and my body and my life and my sobriety. Those are actually the first 4 things I always put on my gratitude list. And I think we're such a society of lookism, you know, and the way we all measure up to somebody else, and I just don't want it to keep me from doing the things that I want to do. Like, I can remember on here, I think it was my first year on the vlog, and I was talking about going to Miami or Mexico or somewhere, and that I didn't want to get in a bathing suit because I was super heavy and whatever, and so many people were so encouraging. They're like, you cannot let this stop you from enjoying your life and doing the things you want to do. And the reality is, nobody's looking at me on a beach anyway, okay? You know what I mean? Like, and so I don't let that bother me anymore. And that year was so good for me. It was so pivotal. And so it's all like growing for me. It's all like growth and being okay with who I am, you know, physically and mentally and everything else, emotionally. And spiritually as well. I would love to, you know, be in a size 32, 34 jean always, you know, and the medium shirt. But only if I was enjoying my life to be at that. Like, there's been periods in my life where I was so restricted in what I ate and what I did, that I look back on that, and I thought I was happy at the time, but, you know, I look back on that and I go, but were you really? Like, you know, you didn't let yourself ever have a dessert, you know, you never did this, you never did that, and whatever. So I don't know, and that's not me saying I'm giving up, because I'm not. Like, I don't. You know, I've maintained about 15 pounds off from where I started, and I don't want to go any higher than I am now, but I also am not happy with where I'm at. Like, so we'll see, you know. It's like this. For me, my weight is like this huge issue of this gray area for me. Like, I have a huge gray area with it. Like, I just don't ever know how I'm going to feel at the moment. Like, you know, we went to this concert on Saturday or Friday, and I literally, like, it was funny because I talked to Melissa before, and she's like, I'm really tired, I don't think I'm gonna go. And I said, well, we can pick up Jason, you know, if you want us to. And she's like, okay. So we picked up Jason. But anyway, I was talking to her, and she was like, I haven't thrown anything on yet, and I just don't feel like getting ready and whatever. And back in the day, like, I would have so stressed out, and I literally threw on jeans and my fry boots and a black t-shirt, and I was like, and I felt good. I felt comfortable, you know, like, and there was like one moment when we were walking out the door that I caught myself in like the window, or like the door like glass or whatever, that I was like, you look kind of heavy. But other than that, because like back in the day, like that was my constant thought all the time, you know? I also think for me too, that's different than like maybe some other people, is that I've never been to the point where I thought to myself, I can't do it, like I can't lose the weight. And maybe there's a danger in that, you know, like, I mean, I know that I can do it. I know that it's total laziness on my part. I'm not stupid. I know that, you know, it's like, but I almost kind of think maybe I had to get to this point first, where I was okay in whatever body, you know? And that's not to say that I always am, because I'm not, but like, I don't know. I feel differently about it, even than I felt like 2 to 4 weeks ago. But even just talking about it right now, like I just don't feel, I don't know. I feel okay with it. Maybe that's what needed to happen for me to like really push myself to, you know, do these things I want to do, as far as getting into shape and going to the gym and eating healthier and whatever, you know. I mean, sure, I've been a vegetarian for a year and a half now, but not a very healthy vegetarian. I mean, let's be for real. I love my hummus, but okay, every day, I don't know how healthy that is. I eat the hell out of some hummus, don't I? It is so good, though. My mom would be so proud of me. She used to make homemade hummus, like with chickpeas and stuff. And she'd be like, she'd say, oh, it's so healthy for you. I'm like, I don't know how healthy hummus is, honestly. I see all these pictures like on Instagram of like granola and peanut butter and berries and, you know, fresh made salads. I'm like, this is how I want to eat. This is how I should eat, you know, and it looks so delicious. But for some reason, whenever I make it, it doesn't turn out to look that way. It just doesn't. You know what I mean? Have you ever tried to make something that, like, really healthy look good, and then, like, it just doesn't? Okay, so we used to go to this place called When Eddie Met Salad. Like Harry Met Sally, but Eddie Met Salad. It was so good. And they had, like, you could make your own salads, but they had all these different kinds of salads there. And they had one called a grilled chicken enchilada, and it was, like, corn, and then it had these little, like, tortilla chip things in it. It was so delicious. And Alex and I always got them. And this is years ago. And they closed them all down. But anyway, I tried to recreate it, and I got online and I looked up like an enchilada, like how it was or whatever, and I got all the ingredients to make it. It didn't taste anything like this thing that we used to get there. It didn't taste anything like it. I was so upset because I was so craving it. But, you know, I was thinking about this today, too. Like, one of the best I've ever felt, I actually followed these guys on YouTube while I did it. And I don't know anything about them. I don't know if they're, like, okay with what they do or whatever. But my friend, I have a friend of mine that, she is really into health and, like, on a huge level. So, anyway, she's really into like I was doing the juicing. I was doing the, what do you call it? The Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. I'd watched that documentary. And she was like, oh, you you shouldn't juice. And I was like, why shouldn't I juice? And she was like, because it takes out, what is going on with this stupid camera tonight? She was like, it takes out a lot of the nutrients of the fruits and vegetables when you juice. She was like, you're better off just eating those things whole. And I was like, okay. And she was like, have you ever thought about doing a raw foods diet? And I was like, I don't even know what a raw foods diet is. And so she explained it to me, and basically a raw foods diet is you eat raw fruits and vegetables, okay? You, like, you don't cook any of them. You can make a salad, but you can't use like anything like that, you know, salad dressings, anything like that. I think I used this one like yogurt-based salad dressing. Maybe it wasn't even yogurt-based, I can't remember, but it was one that like raw foods people like recommended because it was all made from like things that were like organic or whatever. I don't know how it was, but anyway. But I did it for 30 days. I lost 20 pounds in like 2.5 weeks. No lie, you guys. I cannot even tell you how much I was eating a day, okay? I was going through like an entire thing of iceberg lettuce every day. And then I was eating like a thing of bananas. In the salad, I would put like nuts in there. And then I would put like some kinds of different fruit. But I would put like mostly like kale and like ginger in there. I mean, I put so many different, they were these huge shallots. I was eating so much. And I watched these two guys on YouTube. I haven't watched them in years. Their names were the Light Twins. And they were raw foods enthusiasts. And so like that's what they would talk about. And they made like some kind of chili on there where you could like heat it up, but you wouldn't like boil it, because if you get it to a certain temperature, it's not considered raw anymore. I don't know. But anyway, I did it for 30 days. And I did it up till Thanksgiving, and then Thanksgiving was, like I said I was going to do it for 30 days, and up till Thanksgiving, and then I was going to stop it. This was a couple years ago. And I felt so good while I was doing it. I slept well. I never had migraines. Like, never had migraines. And, I mean, I'm not talking about, like, a little bit. Like, 'cause, you know, I always get a little bit of a migraine every day. I'm talking about no migraines. And I just was hungry all the time. I had to eat all the time. That's one of the things they talk about on there. So, I mean, like, Alex would joke, like, I mean, our refrigerator and our counter was, like, filled with fruits and vegetables. That's all it was. But I was spending, like, $30 a day at the grocery store because I was constantly getting fruit. I mean, I would just stand there and eat, like, 2 apples back to back, you know? Or, like, two bananas. And this is where everybody comes in and they go, you can't eat that many bananas, you can't eat this, you can't eat that. But if you, like, watch this diet, it makes a lot of sense. And all you drink is water on it. You're not even supposed to drink coffee or anything like that. And I thought a lot about doing that again because I felt so good while I was doing it. Now, I don't think it's a diet that I could do long term. I just don't. And, you know, I think I could do it. And then if we went out to eat something when we go out to eat that's different and just, you know, break it for a day or whatever. But, like, I felt so incredible doing it. And, you know, it was at the time that I read this book called, well, the one for women is called Skinny Bitch, and the one for guys is called Skinny Bastard, and I read them both, actually. But it's written by these, I think, these two women. It's really aggressive, and it's kind of, like, in your face, but, like, that stuff works for me. Like, as far as me wanting to be, like, self-motivated and change and stuff like that always kind of works for me, you know? And basically, it's vegan propaganda is what it is, these books. And I didn't agree with everything in there, but, I mean, but they knew what they were talking about. They had this whole chapter on there that was very interesting to me about aspartame and the dangers of aspartame and, like, diet soda and stuff like that, which I didn't know anything about that, which is why, after reading it, why I still drink diet soda is beyond me, but I do. And I can remember, like, calling my dad up and being like, because he used to always have cases of Diet Coke in his refrigerator. And I said, I read this book, and, like, they talk about aspartame in there, and he was like, oh, yeah. He was like, it's really, really bad for you. And I was like, yeah, but you guys always have, you know, Diet Coke in your... He was, oh, no. Not since the studies have come out about it. We haven't had any diet soda in our house. I was like, really? He was like, yeah, it's better for you to eat raw sugar than it is for you to drink aspartame. I was like, is that really? He's like, oh, yeah, absolutely. But in this book, what's interesting is, and I'm sure a lot of people could argue with this, and I honestly don't know, and I don't have a stance on it, even as a vegetarian. But it went in this whole thing about how our bodies work better. Actually, humans are not meant to be carnivores, is what the studies show. And they cited all these different research studies and stuff. I mean, it gets very technical in parts, but I literally read Skinny Bitch because one of Alex's friends, she read it and like switched to being a vegan, not a vegetarian, but a vegan, like literally overnight, because they promote a vegan diet. And so this is either an interesting conversation to people, or people are so bored with what I'm talking about right now. But anyway, but a lot of it was really interesting. They talked about how, like, as humans, we're not supposed to be carnivores, and that we actually, and I read it right before I did this diet, and that we, like, operate better with, like, fruits and vegetables and nuts and berries and things like that. And when I started doing that, it was so weird. I can remember reading that book, and then, like, I started doing this diet, and I thought, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. I honestly thought I wouldn't be able to. And I felt incredible. Like, by the third day, I mean, I was sleeping like 6.5 hours, and I felt like I'd slept like 15. And, you know, I felt rested all the time, no headaches. I was positive all the time. I'm sitting here as I say this, I'm thinking to myself, well, then why the hell would you not do it now? Like, it makes no sense, right? I should do it, shouldn't I? I should. Maybe at least I'll try to do it for a week and see what happens. I like trying different, like, things like that, you know? I mean, it can't hurt you. I remember thinking I was going to feel really weak, and I just didn't. But I could not believe the amount of food I went through. Like, seriously, I was going through food all the time. So I haven't even talked about what we did today. Nothing. We got up and had brunch, and it was delicious. And I had what I always have, a cafe pâtisserie, and Alex has what he always has. And then we came home. I drove around for a little bit and talked to some friends on the phone. And because he wanted to watch TV at home. And then I came home, and then we hung out for a little bit, and then I fell asleep with the dogs, and he was upstairs next to me, like, watching TV on his computer. He was catching up on How to Get Away with Murder. And then I got up, and I went and got hummus. I did, I got some hummus. And ate the hummus, and then while we watched RuPaul's Drag Race, the finale, we finally watched it. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But I will say this, like, I already knew what happened at the end, like, who won. I just felt like it was kind of anticlimactic, honestly. But, like, I was okay with how it turned out. I didn't really care either way. I know people are going crazy about it. But, I don't get that bent out of shape about reality television. At least not today in my life, I don't. It's supposed to be for enjoyment. But I was surprised if you watched it. The end of it was edited weird. It was like, it just kind of stopped, and then they announced it. It was like, for me, and maybe it was because I was looking for it, because I knew, like, you know, who won, that I was kind of, like, looking for that, or I was looking for something at the end, but it was just kind of like, they were done, and then they announced it, and I was like, this is so weird to me. I don't know. This vlog's not going to be super long tonight. I don't even know how long it is right now, 30-some minutes long, but it's not going to probably be a whole lot longer, because I am on my way home, and I'm going to go to bed because I have to. I said that last night. I said, oh, this is short, and then it was 50 minutes, I noticed, on when I put it up. I started seeing that fall slowly. Sometimes slowly. Some people out there know what I mean. Sometimes slowly. I do, though. I feel like, I mean, just getting back to that again, but like, I don't want to talk the whole thing about it, but I feel so much better when, I haven't talked about my like weight loss journey or anything on here for a while, so please just bear with me for one whole video talking about this. But I do, this is just me convincing myself of what I need to do. I feel so much better when I'm like eating healthy and drinking just water and all that kind of stuff, you know? I do, like, I know that. So then I guess the question really isn't about that. The question's about the resistance. The question's about, well, then why, Peter, are you not doing that? Let me ask myself in third person. Isn't that weird when people talk about themselves in third person? I think it's so weird. But I think it's like any change that you're going to make in your life, you know? But I'm also a believer that you can make changes like that quick. I'm not typically that person, but, you know, it takes a lot of thought and, like, figuring out what I want to do and being convinced of it. And maybe that's fear for me, you know? I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of fear there. You know, I know that this is going to sound cheesy, but like, I know maybe there's some part of fear to me that's like, what if I'm not the heavy guy that's complaining about my weight, you know, like, who am I then? Or, you know, what if I can't hide behind my weight? Because I think I do that at times, you know, or joke about my own weight, you know. I do it like on the review channel. I'll say stuff about me being chunky or whatever, you know, but I don't know. I'm driving by Tanya's gym and it is packed in the early morning. Are you kidding me? Who is up this early at the gym? My dad used to be up that early at the gym all the time. I didn't even know I was at the end. My dad used to be up early all the time at the gym like that. And then they took a part of their basement and just turned it into a gym. Which I actually used to work out a lot when I was in high school and stuff there in their gym, which was nice. Oh my God, do you know what I used to do in the basement? This is so funny. I used to do the Jane Fonda, I think it was called low impact or high impact or something, I don't know, aerobics. I loved it. I would do it every morning when I got up, when I was at my dad's house, and then I would swim like 20, 40 laps in the pool. That's probably why I was in much better shape. And my dad, of course, always had really super healthy food at his house, you know? It was never just a bunch of junk. I used to go over there and like, or not, I mean, I did go over there later and eat, but like when I was doing laundry and stuff, but when I was like living there, he always had like healthy snacks. Like they never had like potato chips and stuff. I mean, very rarely they would, but typically it was like pretty healthy stuff. And I'd make myself like, you know, a turkey sandwich and stuff. You know, that's one thing that when I moved into my apartment, like I can remember realizing like, oh, you have no groceries here. You know what I mean? Like, that you take for granted that there's just food in the pantry. Like how thankful that our parents like are nice enough to do that, you know, or my parents at least were, to have food in the pantry and stuff like that. I remember coming over to my mom's house like when she lived at the condo, and it would kind of make me sad sometimes because, you know, she'd have like a box of saltines and like a jar of peanut butter in the pantry, and that'd be like it, you know, maybe a couple cans of soup. And in the refrigerator, she'd have like all these different mix match sodas. She'd buy all these cheap ass sodas from like low bills and places like that. She'd always ask you, like, you know, do you want a cherry root beer or something? I mean, it would be some weird soda that she got for like 10 cents at some place. And she'd be like, I have all kinds of soda. She had this one, it was called, it's the candy. Oh, shoot. Oh, that candy. I've talked about this on here, I think, before. It was so funny because when she passed away, it was still in the refrigerator. And I just remember that sitting. That was like one of the first things that got thrown out. Lifesaver. She had this Lifesaver cola. She'd always try to pawn off on me. But like, I can remember like opening her refrigerator, you know, and she'd have like, my mom always ate really healthy, but she'd just go to the grocery store like that day and buy herself. And she may have like one lean cuisine like in the freezer, and then like some ice cream, and you know, like always had milk. My mother was obsessed with drinking milk. My grandmother shrunk in her life, and so my mom would say it was because my grandma didn't drink her milk, and so she had osteoporosis, and so she would swear that you had to drink milk or you would shrink. Like, I don't know. My mother just believed that, so she always drank a lot of milk. But I can remember just like opening her fridge, and she just didn't really have anything in there, you know. She like had bottles of water, and she would refill them, and then I don't know. She'd spend a lot of money on like blueberries or something. She'd have blueberries in there, but then she'd say, "Do you know how healthy it is to eat blueberries?" Like they were talking about it on the show that I was watching. I think Dr. Oz was around then, and she was like, watch Dr. Oz and take down all these notes. And then she'd go to the grocery store, and that's what she would become obsessed with for the week to eat. You know, she was so health conscious, and I was telling someone this the other day. They're like, yeah, but wasn't your mom a smoker? And I was like, my mom was a smoker, but my mom was like never, like, I don't remember her, maybe when I was growing up being a heavier smoker, but I don't remember her never towards the end of my life. My mother would buy a pack of cigarettes, and she would buy these Monarchs that are horrible. And if you smoke Monarchs, I apologize. But anyway, they're just like, they were cheap cigarettes. They're like generics. And she would drive and buy them, and then she would... Did I just talk about this on here, or was I telling somebody this story? I feel like I was telling somebody this story, but I might have been talking about it on here. She would write on the pack, like, the date, and then she would make it last as long as she could. And, I mean, she would sometimes not even smoke a cigarette. Like, she'd smoke a cigarette a day, maybe, sometimes. Like, watching, like, the late news or a movie or something like that, you know? She always wanted to get down to just having one cigarette a day. Which I remember my dad said one time, something about how if you even still smoke one cigarette a day, like, your lungs don't ever get the chance to, like, rebuild themselves. So it's really, like, not... Was it my dad that told me this? Or was this the addictionologist I worked with? I can't remember. But anyway, about... I said something that whoever it was, my dad or this doctor I used to work with, that, you know, is just smoking, if you ever, getting down to one cigarette a day, and they were like, well, your lungs never get a chance to start rebuilding themselves, so it's really not, there's not a whole lot of point. You've got to stop completely. Which I think is interesting, I don't know. One of my friend's moms, and she knows who she is, and she watches my vlogs. I've known her mom for years, and her mom's like in her 80s and still smokes. And I said to her recently, I said, is your mom smoking still? And she said, don't fall over, please, camera. I can see you wobbling. And she goes, oh, she's smoking more now than ever. Her dad recently passed away, and she said, I think she said, she told the doctor, I'm not going to quit now or whatever. I said, well, if I was in my 80s and I was smoking and I was fine, I don't think I would quit either, you know? I had a friend of mine on her 60th birthday. I remember talking to her, and I said, did you do something special for your 60th birthday? And she said, I sure did. And I said, what did you do? And she said, was it her 60th or was it her 50th? I think it might have been her 50th birthday. No. She's a lot older than me. It was her 60th birthday. She treated herself to going. Are you ready for this? Like, I at first was kind of like, what? And then I was like, I think that's incredible. She went to her doctor, and she said, I want every test possibly run on my health, to check out my health. I want like, like blood, cholesterol, like anything like risks for cancer or anything like that. She wanted to get totally clear to everything. She went to the dentist. She went and got her eyes checked. She did everything because she wanted to know like every health concern that she possibly had at that time. I mean, she's somebody that goes to the doctor and dentist and all that stuff regularly anyway. But she went and she like, found out like what things she needed to work on and like her cholesterol, if it was too high or whatever, you know what I mean? And she got everything checked out and like found out what she had to start doing. And thankfully she didn't have anything wrong with her. And we both have a friend of ours that has cancer. And I think that had a lot to do with why. But she's like, I just want to be preventative about it, and I want to enjoy my life, and go to the doctor on a regular basis, every 3 to 6 months, and if something comes up, then I know that it's there. And I was like, I think that is so great. I think that's so smart. I think more people should do that. And she's like, well, it was expensive because I had tests run that the doctor said I didn't even need to have run, but I wanted to know for me. I wanted to know it's my body, it's my life. She'll probably live to be 110, but my mom was really healthy though too. My mom walked every day, like miles she walked. And, like in the mall when it was cold outside or outside, she loved to walk outside. And, she was in great shape. She was in great health. In fact, my mom had this like, it was interesting. She had like, oh God, was it like 10 years before she passed away? It was like, it happened when she was drinking. So I don't know when the test would have been taken, but she went and had a heart scan done. And she found out that she possibly had a heart attack at some point. And she's like, I have no recollection of it whatsoever. And the doctor was like, well, it could have happened while you were asleep because it doesn't show up as like a full heart. I don't know anything about this kind of stuff. So, but anyway, I still have all the paperwork for it because she became kind of weirdly obsessed with it. And that's like when she started getting like super, super healthy about stuff. And, I think scared, like, yeah. Sometimes I think it's so sad, like with my mom, she was so concerned about her health and stuff, but then she ends up getting this weird disease and passing away from an autoimmune disease that she had. There was nothing, the doctor said there was nothing that she could have done to prevent it. Nothing, But she had a good life. I do truly believe that my mom would say that. Like if she was sitting right here, even though she passed away when she was 64, I think she would say, I had a really good life. I did, And I think she would really say that the last 12 years and 11 months of sobriety were the best years of her life. I honestly think she would say that. She got to have relationships with myself and my aunt and Caroline and people that she never would have had, had she still been drinking and things. So I think considering our health is really important. Alex and I have lots of conversations about that because of our like age difference, which is why it's so important to him that I continue to go to the doctor. And I have to anyway because of my epilepsy, but it's important for him because he's like, I want a husband that's around. It's weird when you get to this age though too, because like I feel like we're a more health conscious society than we were, let's say 10 or 15 years ago, but like, or 20 years ago maybe, but like 10 years ago, like I wouldn't have thought about a lot of this stuff, I'm not talking about my weight, that's something I've always thought about, but like true like health, and like now that I'm nearing 50, it's like, you hear people all the time that have like colon cancer and, men that, and it's weird to think about, I don't know, know, like those are things you don't think about. And then all of a sudden you're this age and it's like, you have to think about those things, you know. If you're this age, you'll know what I'm talking about, because you like are like, oh God, yeah, like, you know, you're tired more than you were before. You know, I was talking about being tired on here the other day, but like, it's not just about me being tired, it's about getting older. I mean, you're not as like, your body doesn't, it hurts a little bit more than it did, you know, when you were younger. It's like, it's a bitch getting older. It is. I mean, your body doesn't, you know, necessarily act the way that you want it to act anymore, you know? So I don't know, but... Well, listen, I have talked long enough about my health. I won't do it tomorrow, I promise. We'll go back to some fun stories and stuff like that. So, but I think I needed to have this talk kind of with myself tonight to inspire me to get back and really get on the health journey. So, so thank you for dealing with it and listening to it. And I'm gonna get off here now and go home and go to sleep. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.